Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are welcome to week 5 of our facilitation exercise on ISL101, which is General Introduction to Islam. In today's episode, we shall be looking at the word ijtihad, the meaning of ijtihad, the basis and validity of ijtihad according to Islamic principle. My name is Professor Mustafa Rahim, your regular anchor. If you are ready, let's continue on today's exercise. Okay, you are welcome once again. Let's continue. Our learning outcome for today is that at the end of today's lesson, you as the student should be able to define what ijtihad is. Then you should be able to trace the origin of the word ijtihad. Then enunciate on the basis or validity of ijtihad in Islam. And finally, you should be able to enumerate the impact of the Muslim civilization on the Western civilization. What is ijtihad? Al-ijtihad is a word derived from another word, jahada, and a verb tense, ijtahada, which literally means effort. So the word ijtihad literally means effort or self-exertion or an endeavor, pains, trouble, application, and so on and so forth. According to Bernard Weiss, he defined ijtihad as an endeavor of a jurist to formulate a rule on the basis of evidence found in the sources. And when we talk of the sources this time, we are talking of the Quran and the Hadith. So in a wider perspective, ijtihad means the use of human reasoning, to use your reason in the elaboration and explanation of the Sharia law. So where you don't have express rule on a particular issue from the Quran, then you can, or in the Hadith or Sunnah of the Prophet, you now apply your personal reasoning, your human reasoning, and that is called ijtihad. So it covers a variety of mental processes ranging from the interpretation of text of the Quran and the assessment of the authenticity of Hadith. So you use the text of the Quran, you interpret it to apply to a particular issue that is now present, that is available at present. So it simply means a process by which legal rules are deducted from various recognized sources of law by Islamic jurists. That is, using the process of using legal rules. You deduce it from recognized sources of law in Islam, like the Quran and Sunnah. So you base your reasoning on what you can understand from a particular verse of the Quran and Hadith. So genesis and normative basis for the validity of ijtihad. So the origin of ijtihad, according to all sources, cannot be unconnected to the period when the Prophet sent Muaz bin Jabal to Yemen as governor. So when the Prophet sent Muaz bin Jabal to go and govern Yemen, then he asked the Prophet, with what should I be ruling them? Then the Prophet answered, you use the Quran. He asked again, if I cannot find maybe an express judgment in the Quran on a particular issue, then the Prophet said, then use my Sunnah. Then he now asked again, if I cannot find a relevant Sunnah that is appropriate at that point, then the Prophet asked him to use his reasoning. So that is the basis for ijtihad in Islam. So devotion to the study of religion is the essence of ijtihad, One Quranic verse which suggests basis for ijtihad in the Quran is Quran chapter 42 verse 38, which says, wherever you go, face the mosque of Haram. That is, and wherever you are, turn your face towards it. So, based on this Quranic verse, people started to use different, to exert maybe resources and whatever means to find out how to locate the Masjid al-Haram, that is the central mosque in Mecca, the central sanctuary in Mecca, where Allah asked us to use as Qibla. So people started to exert their wherewithal to find location of that mosque. So it is argued by Imam Shafi that one can only locate the sacred mosque through an intellectual exercise, and that was the beginning of ijtihad. So in another hadith, the Prophet is reported to have said, strive and endeavor, that is ijtahidu, for everyone is ordained to accomplish that which he is created for. That is, you use ijtihad to achieve whatever has been destined for you. So we have qualities or qualifications for anybody that is going to embark on ijtihad, and such a person is called mujtahid. Somebody who embarks on ijtihad is called mujtahid. So there should be some qualities and qualification for any mujtahid. Number one, he must be well versed in the study of the Quran. Such a person must know the Quran very well, and asbabun nuzul of every ayah, that is the reason for the revelation of every verse of the Quran. So he must possess an adequate understanding of the 500 legal verses. All the legal verses in the Quran must be well understood by such a person. He must be well versed in the study of the tradition of the Prophet. That is, he must be well educated and well knowledge in the hadith and sunnah. So he must know the principles of each ijma very well. You know ijma and you know qiyas. So this is consensus of the scholars, and this is personal reasoning, qiyas. So he must have the knowledge of the abrogating and abrogated injunctions. You know, there are some rules that are abrogating another rule which has been earlier put in place, and there are such a person must know those that are abrogating and those that have been abrogated. That's just what he's saying there. So let's look at Islam and Western civilization. So Islam was the first to create a civilization that was multiracial, multicultural, and intercontinental, that is universal. So that is not discriminatory. A civilization that is not discriminatory. It was Islam that first created it. So Islam was the first to make significant progress towards what it perceived as its universal mission. This is what we have just explained. So the West, when we say the West as a concept, characterizes the dominant factor, if not the character, of the contemporary international relations. So all what we have as international relations of today is the baby of the West now. So the nature of the international system is such that the world is divided between the developed and the underdeveloped. So it's in the notion of Western civilization, we have developed and underdeveloped. We have northern and the southern. So they divided the whole universe into different sections. So, excuse me. The nature of Islam remains one ideology that is eminently qualified to rival the ideology of the. So Islam, Western civilization now sees Islamic civilization as the main rival. So we have the impact of the Muslim civilization on this Western civilization. It is incomprehensible to the non-Muslims that the Arabs. So it was surprising to the non-Muslims that the Arabs who were thought to be barbaric, who were thought to be ignorant, now developed a civilization that was now acknowledged to be international, to be universal. So when we talk of Muslim civilization or Arab civilization, so there were so many things that were developed by the Arabs, which the West now based their own development on. So the channel of the division of Muslim knowledge to the West has been mainly through the sacking of the Islamic Empire in Spain. So Islam ruled Spain for almost 600 years before the West now came to overthrow the Islamic Empire there. And that was the diffusion of Islamic civilization into the West. So they now absorbed, the Western civilization now absorbed the Islamic civilization, which has been in Spain and developed the whole of the Europe then. So indeed, what was being sought in the Arab manuscripts was in no way an image of Islam. So that is, the interest the West had in the studying Arab manuscripts was not to know about Islam or to develop Muslim world, but to see to the knowledge of nature as it contains in the Arab civilization. So therefore, in today's lesson, we have been able to define ijtihad, and we have traced the origin of ijtihad and discussed and enunciated on the basis and validity of ijtihad in Islam. And again, we look at the impact of Muslim civilization on the Western civilization. That was what we have done today, and in the next class we will continue. My name is Professor Mustafa Adijara Rahim, and you are welcome. Thank you.